Hi folks, I'm Terry Trippler with Airline Basics. Today we're going to talk about Open Jaw Trips B. We talked to previously Open Jaw Trip A, and if you haven't seen that video yet, I suggest you look at that one before you look at this one because the two do die in. When we talk about an Open Jaw A, it's where the point of origin and final destination is the same point, and the turnaround points are different. You're flying from Minneapolis, St. Paul to San Francisco, you're driving down to LA, then you're flying LA back to the Twin Cities. That's a Open Jaw A, but an Open Jaw B is just the opposite. The point of origin and the final destination are not the same points, but the turnaround points are the same points. It is the same point when you turn around. Let's go with the airlines here. AirTran, Midwest, Southwest, of course, one-way fares, so we don't have Open Jaw explanation that we have to talk about. Alaska, American Frontier. They have an Open Jaw explanation. B, it says the origin and final destination are not the same point. The turnaround point is the same point. If you look at the example on the screen, Minneapolis to Portland, and then going Portland to Denver and terminating. So the point of origin on this trip is MSP, and the final destination on this trip is Denver. So the point of origin and final destination are not the same points. But the turnaround point, Portland, is you're going into Portland, out of Portland. That's the turnaround point. Now, of course, you know these three airlines, they have a mileage requirement. And their mileage requirement is the non-flown segment. And in this case, to complete this Open Jaw, so to speak, the non-flown segment would be Denver, Minneapolis. Got to get back to where that origin is. So if the mileage on that non-flown segment is less than the mileage of the shortest segment flown. In other words, the shortest segment flown has to be equal to or greater than the mileage of the non-flown segment. Then it's an Open Jaw. Well, in this case, what we have is Minneapolis to Portland is 1,423 miles. Portland to Denver is 983 miles. And now the non-flown segment, Denver, Minneapolis, is 693 miles. An Open Jaw will work. Now when we look at the other airlines, Continental, Delta, Sun Country, United, and U.S. Airways, they have identical rules. The origin and ultimate final destination are not the same points. The turnaround point is the same point. So an example there would be Minneapolis, St. Paul to Atlanta, Atlanta to Brainerd. So the point of origin is Minneapolis, St. Paul. The final destination is Brainerd. So they're not the same, but the turnaround point, Atlanta, is the same, going into Atlanta, out of Atlanta. And the one thing about these airlines, they do not require the mileage system like like Alaska, American, and Frontier. At least they do not require it in these general rules. However, in the fare rules for these carriers, just about every fare rule that I see does require mileage. So that's a case where the fare rule overrides the general rule and the mileage principle would apply to these. Now we're talking domestic travel. We get into international, there generally is not a mileage situation. But that's how an Open Jaw works, Open Jaw Trip B.